For some reason, the revelations about Matt Gaetz and the allegations he and his political allies are facing seem to pretty much only come from the Daily Beast. I don't know why that is. And now I'm realizing this is actually coming from Yahoo News. I just saw it on the Daily Beast. But anyway, we do have some updates on Matt Gaetz and Joel Greenberg and the variety of different things that they got up to. Now let's start with Greenberg, as so many of their shared crimes apparently did. 12 women agreed to talk with the Daily Beast about their experiences with Joel Greenberg and his friends under the condition of anonymity. All of them said it was their understanding that Greenberg was paying them at least in part for sex going to as far back as 2013. Now, none of the women interviewed used the phrase sexual assault in their interviews, and the encounters seemed to cover a spectrum of experiences, with some women describing platonic encounters where they still got paid. Others relayed that they had consensual sex for money. But some did characterize their experiences as a trauma. And 4 women said Greenberg pressured them to have sex, with one recounting that she had sex with Greenberg and another woman after being plied with, quote, an endless supply of drugs. And it is that endless supply of drugs that becomes sort of a touchstone of these stories. The woman said, I was under the influence of so many drugs, I would not have agreed to the other woman being there. I wasn't really in a position to say I didn't want to do this. I wasn't in my right mind. I was in over my head and it was kind of scary. I mean, obviously, if you are applied so many drugs that you no longer have the cognitive ability to consent to an instance, that is a very bad and scary thing. And we do know that it's apparently a common thread, both alcohol and drugs, specifically MDMA. One woman told the Daily Beast that she's never seen so many drugs and that Greenberg regularly took ecstasy during the encounters. So everything that we've said so far is basically about Joel Greenberg and the different parties and meetups and things like that he organized. And we know that Greenberg is facing tons of different potential crimes. But there are these connections to Gaetz. So on just Venmo and the Cash App, Greenberg paid more than 40 young women nearly $100,000 over the course of 2 years. The Daily Beast was able to connect a number of those women to Gaetz through Venmo, social media, or mutual friends, but none of those women agreed to interview. So we don't have direct information from those women. And understand that the connections that they're talking about there are not necessarily all the same. So connecting the Gaetz to these women through mutual friends, I don't know exactly what that means. That could be a connection through Greenberg, for instance. Connecting through Venmo, that seems potentially more damning, more direct, more likely to represent some form of paid sexual trafficking and all of that stuff. Now, in terms of the effort to get direct information from these women, one woman whom Greenberg paid more than $7,000 asked a reporter twice for money in exchange for information, writing in one text, "Pay me or GTFO," which is at least direct. The woman was listed as a friend of Gaetz on Venmo, but that connection ended after the reporter contacted her. And you can read into that whatever you want. But they were connected through Venmo, which is an area we know from past Daily Beast reporting is a way that Gaetz funneled money to Greenberg and the money went to the women. Whether that directly is payment for sex, whether with someone that is of age or not, we'll have to see. Now, a little bit more information. Of the 2 women who said that they never felt pressure to take drugs or drink alcohol, one, who was a few years older than most of the other women, described a brief sugar daddy relationship with Greenberg. She recalled that Greenberg paid for expensive dinners and bumped her flights up to first class. The affair ended, she said, after an alcohol and drug-fueled party with several men and young women at a house belonging to a couple that is friends with Greenberg and Gaetz, which again, trying to be as fair as possible. That by itself does not mean that Gaetz was involved with this particular woman or literally anything, but there is sort of an environment going on. That woman said of that particular party, as the party stretched into the early morning hours, she said it became clear that it was leading to group sex. She said she left shortly after one of the homeowners offered her the morning after pill from a cabinet full of Plan B. You know, those cabinets full of Plan B that everyone has in their house. That woman, along with several others, said Greenberg had floated her a job offer. So again, some of these connections are quite direct. The stuff on Venmo seems quite direct. The things that Greenberg has said, to the extent that he can be trusted, is quite direct about what Gaetz has done. The rest is a little bit more circumstantial, and it just creates a context where we can believe that Gaetz potentially was longtime friends and hanging out with a guy like Greenberg, but never at any of these parties and didn't know about any of the crimes and certainly never took part in them. That is a weird hypothetical that could potentially be true, but it doesn't look great. And over time, every couple of weeks, the Daily Beast comes out with a little bit more information. I am assuming at some point that some of the women that have been alleged to have been directly had sex with the congressman will comment. We will have to evaluate those statements as they come in. And of course, all of us are sort of awaiting what we assume is an investigation that's ongoing very silently in the background that is not purely being conducted by the Daily Beast. But that said, does not look great for Matt Gaetz in terms of the allegations. In terms of his politics, he's doing just fine. And there has been no consequences, no strike back from the Republican Party, at least as far as we can see publicly. So that's the latest, and it stinks.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.